Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Voxcaster. I'm your host Dan, and joining me on today's episode is Kier Edward and Brian Robbie Show.
It's good to be back, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit of a hiatus for us, taking care of a few things, more or less myself, but it's good to be back and talking some Warhammer 40k. So, a little bit on, about a week late on this one, but we're going to be talking about the preview from last week's Warhammer Decadence. Oh, wow, I told you I was going to screw that one up, didn't I, guys? Decadence and Decay. So we'll be kind of going through it, just more or less the 40k stuff, giving our thoughts on it, and what do we think that's going to be kind of more to come from it in the future, because already they're previewing stuff for, obviously, Death Guard, Drukhari, and a few other things, and just kind of, hey, give our thoughts on it and see in a couple of weeks to a month, or whenever those codexes drop, and see if we were right or not. So, starting off, and this is kind of something that I'm excited for, because the thing about 40k I enjoy a lot is whenever there's a good narrative. I want to play my guys on a story mode and just kind of live them out. And with the new actual Warzone Caradon, kind of works perfect for me with Death Guard, and Typhus kind of running a little crusade of his own for Abaddon. And what was the name of that planet again, Brian? You were saying a while ago, Metallica?
Metallica, yeah. The Imperium Forge World Metallica.
And you know what? Where this is kind of like invading on an Adeptus Mechanicus thing, I'm just kind of hoping this is kind of easing its way in. Maybe we're going to finally see some Dark Mechanicus. You know, wishful thinking. You never know. It's been in talks for how many years now, so.
I mean, Chaos would welcome more shooting if that was a soup option.
But no, yeah, so definitely the way they started this one off, and obviously, like I was just saying, it's essentially Typhus going on his way for kind of a crusade of his own, sent by Abaddon himself. So I'm kind of hoping we're going to see a little bit more of this, where Abaddon is going to be sending these different war bands. So starting off with Death Guard, down the road, hey, maybe he kind of made a path with Aramon and Magnus, which, hey, you never know, stuff can happen, and it'd be like them going to another planet, and then down the road, hey, hopefully we're going to finally see some Emperor's Children, some world leaders, and just get the narrative going with some new armies coming about. So pretty much like I was saying, so the new book with the Warzone Caradon is really cool, because cool and kind of weird, because I don't know how to take this, because there's already going to be new rules for Death Guard, Adeptus Mechanicus, Imperial Knights, and Drukhari. So with Death Guard and Drukhari, we already know they're kind of on the horizon. What do you guys think with already new rules for codexes that are actually not even out yet?
They're not even announced, so to me it's a little odd, and I'm kind of curious to see how they'll play into the new codexes. Like, even the Death Guard and Drukhari rules, I imagine they've written them with the new codexes in mind, so you'll probably get a sample of what's in store. But to me, it's just, I don't know how to take it.
Yeah, that's the first thing we've seen like this edition. So, as you said, Death Guard and Drukhari coming out and being included in this book will definitely give us the full picture. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine any overlap in the rules. Obviously, they shouldn't make a mistake like that, right? So
Keyword,
it will be
shouldn't,
yeah. But you know, I mean, it's on the same release schedule as the Drukhari Codex.
Mm-hmm. Because Death Guard is supposed
anyways,
to be,
right?
Yeah, because Death Guard is supposed to be for December. We have not been given an actual date yet.
Should be the next Codex, I think.
Should be, because
Blood Angels comes out, and then I think it's Death Guard, then Dark Angels.
Yeah. And then I think the Warzone and Drukhari is also supposed to be released in January. So yeah, so we're going to see Death Guard with the Codex, then either Drukhari, then the campaign book, or campaign book and Drukhari, or they might even be released at the exact same time. So
yeah,
and Dark Angels is somewhere in between.
No, true, but like, where they don't actually play a role in here. But then I'm also wondering if that's kind of lining up for February's releases of Adeptus Mechanicus Imperial Knights. If that's going to be kind of like the two codexes for that month.
It could be.
I've heard orcs in February, but I will say
I think that's just your wishful thinking right now, Kier. You know, you're building up that orc army, and
it's definitely not that. I've heard talks about some mechanics and stuff like that, and by February there's some orc stuff. Anyway, the thing, I don't think this will be as in depth as a Psychic Awakening. I'm not expecting that much.
No.
Now that being said, Psychic Awakening definitely had different standards across different armies. I mean, Creations of Bile was what 2 pages essentially, and then on the other hand, you have, AdMech, which had a huge it really depends, but I wouldn't expect too much from this, with the hopes that their intention isn't to have us dragging around another edition of 4 or 5 books just to play one army again,
And
because
I'm kind of
that
hoping
that
you're
wasn't
right there.
enjoyable.
I'm hoping like maybe it's just a couple like mission based stratagems or mission based this, but like nothing game changing. Like you said, that I'm gonna have to carry that book with me to every game because of that one strat or that one warlord trait or relic or something. But
Yeah, another wishful thinking idea I'll put out there is maybe they'll try to release these intentionally before the codexes, so that when the codexes drop and they release the data cards, they can include the rules from this, so that you aren't just, I mean, how annoying did it get towards the end of ninth when you only had data cards for a third of your rules? So
mm.
Mm.
But see, I'm okay with that. If the book itself, like not the codex, but like the campaign book comes out with special rules for those armies, but then when your codex comes out, that stuff is in there anyways, then I'm okay with that. So it's giving the people that they're, if your codex is not out yet, it's giving you a couple extra rules to play with now. But then when your book comes out, like you said, everything's already in there, everything's good to go, and you're good with just your one book.
See, I'm of the opposite. I hope that these books have different rules that aren't included in the codex. Otherwise, it just almost would seem like a waste of paper to me,
Mm.
and money. So I don't know. We'll see. We can only speculate, right?
Oh, exactly. Like I said, these books might have a lot more information in them than we're actually thinking. Because again, we're just kind of going back on, okay, what did Phoenix or like the Psychic Awakening have, and even back whenever the Vigilus, because that's what these are kind of leaning more towards, like the when the Vigilus came out. I think it was only 2 books, but again, they had a decent amount of information in them, and
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah. Another thing that I'm actually really enjoying that they're doing is I enjoy, well, so far in ninth edition, I think I've played more Crusade games than I've had actual basic games. And the fact that they've been releasing some new Crusade books on like a pretty steady schedule, I like, because the next one right now for Crusade is actually going to be Plague Purge. Necron's already had one be released. This one now is going to be more around the Death Guard, and I didn't actually get a chance to look at the Necron Crusade book, but do you guys know off the top of your head if it actually was just Necron based only, or was there other things in it?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Every time I try to write a crusade list and come into the club and play it, I, I always look at it and there's only 25 to 50 power level,
Mm.
and it just ends up turning into a 2K list, and I end up just playing a 2K game. So I can appreciate what they're doing with Crusade, but I can't speak on it at all.
Okay.
So
Next on the list, and this is one
sorry,
thing.
Danny.
No, I was just asking because, like I said, I've actually didn't look at it, so I was kind of hoping one of you guys
Yeah.
might have had your hands on it to take a look at it because I don't know exactly what's in these actual books because I got the basic Crusade book that came when ninth edition started, and it was just kind of like a one take all, like everybody can use them. But now that there's like Necron one, this one seems like it's a Death Guard one, so I'm just not sure if these are actually specific in. Hopefully, on the next episode, I'll get a little bit more information. I can pass that on to people.
Yeah.
But the next one that I have right here that they were previewing it that makes myself very excited. I'm sure for you, Brian, too. But it's the
Oh,
actual
100%.
preview of the Drukhari book. And first thing that they say, first 3 key points, and I'm hoping that they do this because they definitely need it. But more attacks, higher damage, lethal combat output across the board. From my understanding, or from what I've been reading and I've been listening to a couple of other podcasts is talking about it, is what Drukari needed was to be faster, hard hitting, because they're fragile as all hell. They're gonna die. So we needed some sort of output to be able to hit you first before we just crumble. But if anything that they're showing, like the only preview they kind of show is the incubi stat, and already like holy crap, these guys have like times 3 in my books on what they can actually do now. And if that's any indication of what the other stuff is going to come, I'm hoping they follow suit with it.
Yeah, I
I'm
find it.
hoping I'm
Oh, go
hoping
ahead,
that
bro.
they make the blasters have a set amount of damage plus like your D6 plus 3 Meltas. I'd like to see something like that with the blasters for the D6 damage.
Hmm.
Um, I do like that the Incubi weapon skill increased by 1. I'd like to see that like with the Ravagers go up to a 3 up weapon skill instead of the 4 up.
Mm.
Kind of like what you were talking about with those Nurgle engines or whatever. But
Yeah.
In all
Yeah.
honesty, I'm really excited about the mix and match of those obsessions, being able to take a ball, the witch cult, and the covens all together.
Yeah, because
I'm
that was a
kind of
huge
curious
thing
to see
that
how
they
that comes.
actually previewed, saying that not only do you have to run one separate cabal, one separate witch call, one separate coven, is like the whole mix and match, but like, how is that going to work? Like, are you still having to take like Black Heart, but you can have a succubus kind of thrown in there, or can you take a Red Grief and have an Archon as an HQ? So I'm kind of interested, being like, or like Kier, like earlier on before we even started the episode, we were talking. It's like Chaos Undivided. Are they going to kind of throw a mix like that in, where it's like it's going to be its own thing? Where if you want to mix and match, here's a fourth rule set to actually like take from.
Yeah, I find it interesting that they advertise more attacks, higher damage, and lethal combat output across the board, because I feel like Drukhari at its best in 8th, and mind you, it's a different edition, weren't those things. Like, they were all about Ravagers, Grots, and Racks,
Mm.
none of which are known for their lethal combat output across the board. So it seems like they just this preview seems less favorable to the homunculi and more in favor of cabals and witches, because
Mm.
none of these things seem like what the homunculi have really been successful at in the past. Like thinking of
Uh,
racks, like I don't know if I care that racks get more attacks, higher damage, or lethal combat, because their thing has always been staying power, right? But it
Mm.
does give me hope for witches, or what are the disc dudes?
Hellions.
Oh, like
Hellions.
Hellions. Oh man, I
Yeah,
want to see
yeah.
Hellions be able to be played. I got 20 of them on my shelf. I want to play them.
Yeah, so I feel like this sort of excludes what I have known prophets to be, or well,
Mm.
whatever covens to be. That's really, it doesn't seem that impossible to imagine them, you know, basically giving the incubi treatment to a lot of these different units like witches and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I wonder what they have in store for racks and stuff to make them, because they were sort of the mainstay troop choice for as long as I can remember. Every list had racks and grots,
Well, that's because
right?
prophets was such an important thing to take your. Like, it was the only thing that would stay alive. You
Right.
had that
Exactly.
2 CP stratagem. If you didn't kill that squad, we were bringing it back full strength.
Mm.
Sure,
But
and it makes me interested to see how they like what do they do with those, because those covens aren't this. Covens aren't those 3 bullet points,
Yeah.
no.
right?
But
So
well, to
I
be
don't
honest,
I'll
know.
be interested to see Grotesques and Talos with the more attacks and higher damage. I do have
honestly,
a lot of.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be more or less like you were saying, like they're already pretty good whenever you look at it that way. But whenever you're looking at just like the base stuff, it's like oh well, huge brain fart, the troop choice for Covens. Not grotesque, but
racks.
there we
Racks.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, they have the stay power, but they don't have many attacks. They don't have like it's like strength 3 basic attack, 1 damage, no AP. So like they have nothing hard hitting for themselves. Grotesque hit hard, yes, but even give the Rex an extra attack, strength 4, because they're obviously a little bit beefier than. Or well, Brian, you play them more because I don't play Coven myself. But are racks a base 3 strength or base 4 strength?
Their base 3.
So that's what I mean. Like for something that's supposed to be a little bit bigger and harder hitting than like a warrior or a witch, maybe give them strength 4 and be able to have a couple of attacks that can have like say at least AP -1 or something, just to have them do more than just sit on an objective and hope for the best and stay alive.
I'm really hoping for our poison weapons to get AP -1.
Yeah, that seems to be a common theme.
Mm.
As for the racks, I think just going to 2 wounds would be nice. I think
That'd be huge.
True.
seeing Grots have some sort of solution to getting OBSEC, along with
Well,
a
kind of like how
stat
that
nudge.
librarian does it to the Blade Guard vets in the Space Marines. He has that fucking thing
No,
that,
it's a warlord trait.
yeah,
It's called Rights of
Justin
War,
does it
and
all
then
the
they can
time to
do
his
well,
guys.
every Marine list does it, but if Grots got OBSEC, like I think these 3 points sound great, but I would also like to see them bring back that tanky rack side of things, because it's there's all these fight lasts and all these things. I mean, the glimpses of Jakari we have seen have pretty much been Forge World ship.
Oh,
Uh,
the Tantalus or the Reaper?
Reaper,
Mm,
and then bikes and stuff like that, and skirmishing, but they skirmish worse than Harlequins right now.
mm,
So I don't know. I think it would be nice to see all three sort of get their appropriate buffs. I wouldn't want to see this sort of cross of like buffing up the stat line of Rax and making normal Cabal tougher and stuff like that. Like I think I would like to see the troop choices really focused in on what they're
mm-hmm.
good at. You know what I mean? And becoming this thing where you can design your list around these core troop choices and then build from there. And personally, I've always had a thing for witches, so I'm very interested to see what witches get because I think everyone's sleeping on a list with 120 witches.
130 to be exact, but yes.
130, sorry.
But the thing with witches that I would like to see is like obviously different obsessions give you different abilities. So you can give like +1 attack, +1 strength. I would like to see witches in general, say on a charge, get +1 strength, and then stack it with obsessions or combat drugs or whatever it is like that. Because that's the thing. It's like witches are great. They have a T-shirt save, but once you get in close combat, they have the 4-up invuln. But a lot of times the problem I had was getting them into that close combat to be able to stay alive.
Yeah, I think the Drukhari Codex. I really liked the 8th edition Drukhari Codex, and
Mm,
I truthfully think at its core it just fell to power creep. I think it
mm,
was. I liked the way it was designed. I feel like all the units sort of played how they felt, and I don't really feel like they need to totally rewrite that book as opposed to just tune it up to today's standards, I guess.
mm.
Um, I think, yeah, I don't know. I think that pretty much sums up my thoughts on Jakari.
Mm.
Now, Dan, what are you thinking about the Court of Archon? Do you think they're going to change that much, like with those named characters that everyone's been using for secondaries and ninth?
I really don't know because I was listening to a couple of other podcasts and some people are saying don't be surprised to see them just disappear because
I
where
feel
you
like
can
they might
mix
get
now.
legend.
And it's a possibility because I find in 8th edition, one thing that kind of killed them because I had a staple list and I was doing pretty well in games and tournaments. But the second that they legends like Trueborn and Blood Brides,
And Blaster Archons.
yeah, well, yeah, that'd be a big one. But I find like I ran almost more Trueborn units than anything else just to have that essentially heavy unit. You throw
Yeah.
them into Venom, you run them around, you get 4 shredders, 4 blasters. But as soon as they took that away, it's like you had scourges, and that's it. Like you couldn't run anything else with 4 heavy weapons, 4 assault weapons. It was just either your poison, your pistols, or that's it, unless you had scourges.
I hope Scourges get a better invul than their 6-up invul.
Yeah, just a ghost plate, or give them at least
Give
because
them a 5-up or give them a -1.
No, no, no. You want them to be even more glass cannon. You want them to be able to deep strike closer or get longer range and shoot twice.
I don't
see
They,
want
that
to
ju-
be
they, they
twice.
just they just
I
need to go away like paperweights. They're fine as paperweights. It's just the problem is they don't do enough on the turn they appear.
yeah,
Well,
like
the
give us
problem
a
is
I,
they're
stratagem,
throwing.
give us like endless cacophony, double shoot in a turn or something like
oh
that.
my
Like I'd
god.
be okay
Oh,
with that.
oh.
I'd be
I
okay
didn't
with
re-
that.
I didn't realize things were so bad for Jakari that they were dipping into the CSM
They're they're
codex for
horrible.
strats.
And that's the thing. Like Drukhari,
Good
like obviously
lord.
they're nowhere
Get
near
it.
bottom tier. You just need to know how to play them. You need to know how to mix them well. But just my personal experience with the list I used to always run was I hate doing meta lists where like back in the days like you had to have the triple Ravager, you had to have this like no, it's like I want to switch stuff up. Like I want to be able to play stuff off the shelf and it still be viable rather than be like, oh, I got 20 Hellions. They're like, good for you. Go play now. It's like no, it's like make things fun, and that's why I'm kind of hoping. Like there was who was it that I was listening to? I forget which podcast, but they were saying it's like even give them like Drukhari itself to kind of emphasize on their speed, almost like the Raven Guard. Give them -1 to hit at like a distance or something like that, just to show like kind of show what their speed can actually do, and just little tweaks like that.
You know what I always thought would be cool? So they have poisoned weapons. Imagine there was a stratagem or something where when a unit was wounded by poison weapons, they suffered some sort of
Lingering effect.
disadvantage. Yeah, like they're -1 to hit until or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it would be a stratagem. It wouldn't just be a passive thing
Yeah,
built into every
that
witch knife, but poisoned and you roll a dice and 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6 are different results, or you know what I mean, like
Or take a
they
leadership test at the end of each
something, I
whatever.
don't know.
Or
It's not enough to just wound on fours now, but I think, I think the concept of being poisoned, I mean, there's all sorts of mechanics like that in the game
mm,
already. So, you know, I think that would be something interesting where now it's not even about the killing power. It's just about cheap stuff, tagging stuff fast
mm.
and really debuffing that army. And maybe it stacks the same way marker lights do or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I find the thing with Drukhari too is like there's not many buffs. There's not many options to reroll. Like you had your Archon, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a whole lot to make you reroll or +1 to attack or +1 to wound or +1 to hit or like there was
There's
nothing to
a
give.
there's a stratagem to reroll all failed wounds, but I don't know if that's Coven only.
I think it was just one specific thing, but that's what I mean. Is like when you play Drukhari, you play them with whatever their base stats are. With like I was saying, like with the combat drugs and obsessions, like you get those, yes, but they were never game breaking, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Drukhari Codex is out there and watch two Space Marine Codexes and all the supplements release,
Mm.
and their PA was pretty shit. I
Yeah,
don't
we got
really.
some pretty cool obsessions and a new Drazar model.
Yeah, but I mean, on the opposite side of things, I know you don't like playing the 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 competitive lists, but in the competitive lists, not much really changed
No.
after PA versus before PA.
Mm.
Compared
Um,
to what the other
compared
armies
to compared
experience.
to well, even
Oh
just
yeah.
Eldar, the same book, even
Mm.
just Eldar, right? And Harlequins. I mean, Harlequin's PA was fantastic. So
Mm.
it's just been so long. I mean, that Codex came out what beginning of 2018, I
Well,
want to
it
say.
was the first Psychic Awakening book that came
No,
out.
no, Drakari Codex. I'm not
Oh,
even
the
talking
actual
about
Drukhari.
PA.
Oh, okay, the actual
Yeah,
Codex
yeah, yeah.
itself. It did come out pretty early in the actual cycle. I don't remember
Yeah. So I
exactly when,
mean,
but
it's just the GW has leveraged so many different aspects, and Jakari has just aged terribly,
mm.
to put it simply. But yeah, I think the Incubi is a great start. I think it looks
Mm.
promising. It's kind of what I think, fast and deadly but squishy kind of Jakari vibe that I think is cool.
Mm. No, definitely. Next on the list, I don't play them personally myself, but Dark Angels. Thoughts on that? Essentially, there are three key points: launch faster, more deadly Ravenwing assaults, initiate units, including dreadnoughts, into Deathwing, hunt the fallen with the range of new stratagems and relics.
I hate myself for saying this, but I wouldn't forgive myself for not. It's weird that they would make this the first Chaos Codex of ninth edition.
True, true.
Now the Chaos guys are complaining. They're waiting patiently, but they're complaining.
It's like this just a tease, like, oh, you're giving us, chaos, um,
Gotta
no,
balance
like
it.
I've seen a couple of things and with the Raven Wing, because I find again, I've never played them. I've played against them a few times, but it was actually cool to see like hopefully more focus on Raven Wing stuff. Uh, yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know enough
I don't
about.
know enough about it to really contribute. I'm kind of curious to see how it plays out with their inner circle or whatever, but
Mm,
I mean, Dark Angels since the index dropped has just been weird because if you guys can recall or if you saw it, there was this insane amount of just disgust, I guess, for some of these rules that Dark Angels got. Inner Circle being the main one, where it's just basically a built-in transhuman, and everyone just went nuts about how ridiculous this was. And I mean, I know this year hasn't been great for events, but the events we have seen, Dark Angels aren't the thing everyone's taken.
mm,
So it seemed to be just a lot of smoke. And I think they definitely need a supplement to come out. I I just don't see the difference between them and just vanilla Marines right now that
mm.
I think your avid Dark Angels player would like to see. So just based off what they they touch on here. Dark Angels like Plasma, and the Redemptor Dread is coming in huge right now. And so immediately just looking at this, I'm seeing Deathwing Redemptor Dreads,
Mm.
which, to the real diehard Dark Angels players, that's probably a very exciting thing to see because they have a lot of nice synergies with that keyword.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, I think just based off what we've seen so far with the other ones, the Space Wolves book is fantastic. The Blood Angels book, which Danny and I might be talking about on another episode, looks great. So I can't see anyone being disappointed with this. And again, same thing for Drukhari. I think I like the flavor of Dark Angels we've sort of seen, and I think Dark Angels players are probably feeling similar to how you guys are feeling, where it's just that their actual rules for specifically Dark Angels has sort of become dated. Now the difference is they, no matter what, they have the Space Marine Codex to fall back on, and it's just a great codex. No matter what, if you're Space Marines, anything, you're gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just when they did these indexes, a lot of awkward things happen with these chapters where they lost their unique litanies and psychic powers went away and stuff like that. So, I'm just excited for Dark Angels players to actually get a good chunk of their rules back
Mm.
and, see what comes of it. I know Plasma is very prevalent right now. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see it, and I also hope a new character comes along down the line aside from Lazarus. Someone cooler.
Cypher returns with the Fallen.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, that would be awesome, right? If Fallen have just disappeared, you'll never see those anytime soon unless there's something in this book. So I wouldn't be against it.
Or, the whole chapter, but that's for another story.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a Dark Angels player either. I just
Mm.
I just hear the murmurings from the community, from some of the discords I'm in. So I think they have all the right units. Ravenwing Invader ATVs could be interesting, especially with their apothecary nonsense. And then,
Mm.
there's a Ravenwing Deathwing synergy that I believe still currently exists, where you can deep strike, I think, 5 inches away. If there's a Ravenwing unit near the enemy unit, so there's always been this way to, get Deathwing Terminators making a 5-inch charge or a deep strike.
Mm. Nice.
So, if you can now put that Ravenwing keyword on something people are actually bringing, like Invader
Mm.
ATVs, and then, Deathwing Blade Guard or something like that, there's some very interesting combos that can come from this. So we'll see. They have the potential. They definitely have the
Mm.
potential, but all I've heard is talk. I haven't seen anyone actually, bust it out
Yeah.
and tear it up yet. So
Yeah. Well, I know we have a Dark Angels player at the club, so hopefully one of these days, once the Codex actually comes out, I'll get him on for an episode. We can kind of go through and see what actually changed and see what's all about with the new stuff. So as far as the preview went, that was pretty much all they kind of covered as far as 40K went. There was some AOS stuff that I'm kind of pretty excited for myself, but I'll probably jump on to another episode to do AOS because honestly, I want to start pumping out a little bit more AOS for myself, kind of give a little bit of a mix on the channel. I know I just posted a picture up on the Facebook page today where I'm just being like, hey guys, show me what you guys are working on as far as AOS models. I just finished working on the pretty giant mountain cow for the Lumineth Realm Lords, and I'd be excited to see what everybody else is working on. But I just want to kind of just jump back a little bit before we actually finish the preview for that, but it's kind of for Death Guard. Because after the preview was actually released, this was nothing that they actually released, but it was as people were receiving new item or like the new packaging for Death Guard, it came with the new rules already. And if this is any indication on what we're supposed to see in a Death Guard and even just Chaos Space Marines in general when the Codex comes out, I'm excited. Biggest thing I'm just going to start off with saying Demon Engine's 3-up ballistic skill is huge.
I can agree.
Because I have the pictures here. What was it? The Blight Hauler and the Bloat Drone were the only two that they've seen, and Typhus, but we'll talk to him about him after. What you're about to say
Yeah.
here?
Well, if that becomes the standard across Chaos, and I don't play Death Guard, I just play Chaos Space Marine, so I can't really, as far as Death Guard goes. I know, I believe Defilers are popular for a little while for them.
Mm,
Um,
Well, that's because we can give them that feel no pain and stuff now. It made them scary. We can
mm,
yeah.
make them a demon engine with a 4-up invul.
So
mm.
immediately, what I think is so ballistic skill 3 is awesome, and then the Disco Lord, again, not talking about Death Guard here, but the
Just in
Disco Lord
general.
can bring them up to a 2. But likely, based off what we've seen, they don't get the core keyword,
Mm.
but they do have the Demon Engine stratagem.
Yeah, so
Or
like they'll still be able to use the stratagem, but like they wouldn't be able to use like aura buffs or anything like that.
Yeah, so overall, I think it will be good because I mean, uh, I can't imagine the Disco Lord having the aura not affect demon engines. That would just be stupid. They wouldn't change that to core because otherwise he wouldn't affect anybody. There's no,
Hmm.
I don't, the only core demon thing I can even imagine seeing are obliterators, and that's a maybe. I'm not even sure about
Yeah.
that.
It's not going to
So
have to be something reworded or redone up, like you're saying, as a stratagem or something like that, or some sort of ability that's not technically an aura ability, but specifically to Demon Engine. Like it literally says this affects Demon Engines only or something, or.
yeah, but I think the other tell. Unfortunately, I don't have the Forge World stuff open in front of me. I have it on my phone, but something like Blood Slaughterers,
Mm,
depending on what they got in Forge World, if they went to 3-up or 4-up, I think that might give us an idea if this is, unique to Death Guard specific or not. But I would love to see some new life brought into some of the Demon Engine units because, as a Chaos Space Marine player, again, I just don't bring them.
mm,
They're big and awkward, require a lot of babysitting. The hardest thing about them is just moving them around, a lot of them, because they just don't fly and they have gigantic bases and terrain is just naturally denser. So,
mm.
seeing a Blitzkrieg Skill 3 come back, I'd be all for that. Or I say
Yeah.
come back like it was a thing before, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I actually, where you were just saying Bloodslayer, I just brought it up on Battlescribe just to see, and it does say that it's 3-up weapon and ballistic, but part of me wants to say that it was already there because where it was already a Forge World, and obviously we know Forge World always had a little bit of a better stat line, because I always remember whenever I used Bloodslaughters with the World Leaders, I always had a 3-up. I never remember it being 4-up.
Okay, so do I Google Blood Slaughter of Corn 8 or is Danny a cheater 8?
Either or, but if I remember correctly, because I have the old index, but it's on my tablet upstairs, so I can't say for sure. But I remember the Blood Slaughter being easier to hit, so I don't remember it being a 4, or at least I hope not. Don't make me a liar.
It's pixelated. I
For
think they're
good
a 3 and a
reason.
4. Checking, yeah. You don't want to do this to him. Not here. Not like this.
Not right
Anyway,
now.
yeah. So, yeah.
But
But there are other. Are there not? There's a Death Guard, but not a Death Guard Demon Engine that was in the
well,
Forge World too, wasn't there?
there was
That's
the
the
Plague
Greater
Bolt.
Blight drone.
Well, there's a
Greater
greater
Blade
blade,
Drone. That's
yeah,
it.
because if I heard correctly, and I remember seeing it where I can't remember if it got legend or not, because if it was part of that, but somebody was saying that apparently the basic Chaos Space Marine book can use it, but Death Guard can't.
Yeah. There's this whole Death Guard 1,000 tons
Yeah.
currently can't access Forge World, which is well, we don't
Hmm.
have to talk about it, but
But
No
no, the other
dreadnought
one,
for you.
yeah, the other one I'll jump to is actually Typhus. So stat wise, the biggest changes obviously is his extra movement went from a 4-inch to a 5-inch movement. Still 2-up to hit, 2-up to shoot. But if I remember correctly, attacks, he was only at 4, I want to say. He is now up to 6. And his weapon is actually strength plus 3, so you're looking at strength 7, minus 3, 3 flat damage. But one thing that I've noticed, and a couple of people have already been saying, is the only weapon option he has is for his Reaper. There is no shooting attack. And we were talking a little bit earlier, Kieran, you were saying, I'm almost wondering if this is going to be switched into a stratagem or an ability, or because obviously these package rules only show base stat lines. They're not showing anything else that's actually on the data slate itself. So it's still kind of speculating if, like, what is he still going to have? Because, like, I know for himself, and same thing with the Dead Shroud Terminators, is they were so slow at a 4-inch move because of the Cataphractii armor. So do they still have that? Are they giving him the extra movement because hey, he's a big lord dude, so of course he should have something a little bit more than the other guys, but
I wonder if the Destroyer Hive becomes something like what Morty has, just like a mortal wound thing at the beginning of the combat phase or something like that. That
like
would
some kind
be
of aura.
yeah. I mean, you have to believe it's a rule, right?
Mm.
They wouldn't just get rid of that because that's kind of like
It's the main part of his fluff.
Oh yeah,
it's his
Use
thing,
himself with the
right? So
Destroyer Hive.
yeah. Now these stat lines or data sheets or whatever you want to call them that come with the instruction manual so far have been right about everything.
Mm.
Did
So
they have his grenade listed on that too, Dan?
no.
No, the only thing they show is one weapon option, his Reaper, and that is it. There is
Because his
nothing
Reaper was
else.
already +3, -3 flat.
Yeah, I think the only big difference was just to his actual base stat line. Like he got the +1 to movement, I think it was +2 to his attacks.
Yeah.
And that's it. Everything else stayed the same, but his weapon stayed the same. But like I said, they took away the other options. But
Then
I don't know.
again, the paper in the Typhus package in 8th was wrong.
Oh, really?
His scythe was supposed to be a lot better.
uh,
Does it say it's a plague weapon?
It
it
On
does
doesn't
the
say
on the
anything at
old
all.
Typhus, but
It doesn't say anything at all because I think the other thing too is correct me if I'm wrong. Um, Traditionally, he had cataphracti armor,
Yeah, that's what I mean. He
and
had that with that's
now
why
it
he only had the 4, but now he has a 5-inch movement, but doesn't even say what kind of armor he has because he still has a 2-up save, but the Cataphracti was what was giving him his 4-up
well they
info.
rolled they eliminated all of that. Now it's just relic Terminator armor as per the Space
Mhm.
Marine Codex. So that's probably why I don't know if I believe that he'll have a. I mean, he'll probably have a 4-up invul, but it'll probably be a different rule because if I'm not mistaken, almost every Chaos character has a 4-up invul.
Yeah, it was like Sigil
If
of
any,
something or yeah,
yeah,
because like Karn had it, Lucius had it. I think they all had it. I
yeah, I
think it was
seen,
Sigil of Corruption or something like that that gave him the 4-up invuln.
yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and say he probably is a 2-up, 4-up,
Mm.
but the amalgamation of Terminator armors now it's all 5 inches, so he
Mm.
naturally inherited that. I don't have the leak in front of me. I just have his actual data sheet in front of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, the other interesting thing that Brian touched on is the absence of blade grenades being
Hmm.
mentioned, but that wouldn't be a modeling option, right?
I suppose.
Like the images only show like the different modeling options, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly, yeah. Like for
So
example, like if I shoot over to the
That
blow
was
drone, it
model.
gives me 4 options and it gives him like the greater blight launcher, the plague spewers, the flesh mower, and then like the little needle thing on his nose, and it shows those 4 options because those are the 4 things that he's equipped it with.
yeah,
Same thing going back to the blight hauler, it shows same thing, the melt a gun, which hey, I'm excited. 2 attacks, strength 8 -4 d6, and then it has the melta ability, but again, it doesn't say it on here, but obviously I'm guessing it's going to be carrying over. um but yeah, same thing. Yeah, it just shows the basic stuff that he's loaded with because the Blade Hauler comes with base stacked 4 weapons. You can't interchange them, and it shows them all. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
actually, I'm dumb because he already has the thing that lets him dish out mortal wounds.
Who's that?
Nerval's gift, Typhus.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about a thing like Morty. He has a thing like Morty. It's called
Oh,
Nerval's
okay.
gift.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
So I'm
I don't
wondering if
know.
they'll make like the Hive almost a -1, like it kind of obscures him, kind of like a cloud of flies.
Yeah, well, he has the rule for host of the Destroyer Hive, which buffs the Poxwalkers,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right? So
And
maybe,
that's his thing. Yeah, you run him just with hordes of poxwalkers, and
yeah. So I'm just trying to think, like,
Because I can't see them getting rid of it because if they're using the old model, because he has it on his back.
mhm. No, it's true. And that's another thing. I'm kind of hoping that
On his-
poxwalkers give him a 4 weapon skill rather than a 5. I know there's like ways to get them to 3 ups, like between buffs and that, but it's like, yeah, you're mindless zombies, but 5 up to hit, eh.
yeah. I've heard a lot of rumors about disgustingly resilient.
Well, that's
Uh,
the next topic I was going to bring up, and just because everybody knows, everybody's seen it, but I want your personal opinions. If it is true that disgusting resilient is gone and it is supposed to be replaced with the -1 to wound, what are your thoughts on that?
um, I find feel no pain slow the game down immensely.
Mm.
Um, I'm trying to think. So the apothecary in the Marine book gives a 6-up feel no pain. I'm trying to think of everything that's happened as of ninth that's allowed for better than a 6-up feel no pain.
Iron Hands, because Justin gets the
No,
five
but that's
Yeah, but they haven't.
those are 8th edition rules though,
Yeah,
or
the
unless
Iron
that's
Hand
the
stuff has.
supplement.
No, it hasn't been out yet.
That's what the Faith and Fury, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
And it
He's mad the other
specifically
day at me.
says, yeah, it specifically says unless they're whatever,
Mm.
Ironstone, whatever, then it's the apothecary rule. I have to pull up the SM Codex to see how it still words it. But
And that apothecary is so gross right now.
Mm.
yeah, well, whatever. I mean, I people are going to figure it out. People figured it out in eighth, how to build against Space Marines. It's going to become the gold standard, and people figure it out. People figured out how to beat, the Knights became the gold standard. I mean, it's just a matter of time as these codexes start coming out. There was
There's
a
always gonna
time.
be there's always gonna be something to counter something to make it more tolerable. I
Yeah.
guess the best way to say it.
I mean, I was just talking about this the other day, and there was a time not too long ago where the greatest extent of Space Marines you saw was either Guilliman Ultramarines or Three Blood Angel Smash Captains in different lists.
No, it's true. You
And
run
that
them with
wasn't so
Imperial
long ago.
Guard and
That
Imperial
was the
Knights.
beginning of 2019. That was before the SM supplements
Mm,
and the SM Codex. There was the Custody, Loyal 32,
mm,
sorry, not Custody, Castellan, Loyal 32, and
yeah.
3 BA Smash Captains. And
Mm.
there was the Guilliman bubble. And they got the first Codex of 8th. I believe it was the first. With, who else was it? 2 came out. I can't
I
recall
can't
now.
remember. Yeah, I can't remember the
Um,
order game.
I'm drawing a complete blank right now. Anyway, and then the other codexes came out, and then Space Marines. There was a point where people were basically calling them hot garbage. So I don't know if that will happen again to that extent because I think in conjunction with the supplements, that's sort of what allows them to exceed. If supplements just didn't exist, they'd still be good. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of those additional rules, like White Scar's advance and charge,
Mm.
for example, and having all these extra stratagems. So I mean, it's going to come. It's inevitable. In a year or two, Space Marines aren't going to be the thing. I truly believe that. So
Mm.
we'll see.
Yeah.
And a lot of these lists, just in general, speaking on ninth, I've still been watching BCP regularly, seeing what sort of results and stuff are happening, and there seems to be a good mix of winning armies. It's not just
No,
Marines,
no, it's
right?
true. Like a
Harlequin,
lot.
AdMech. Demons are doing great right
Yeah,
now.
Demons are actually doing really well, and from what I've been hearing, is they are supposed to be one of the earlier on codexes, and that's another one I'm kind of excited to actually dig into and see what they have coming out. But
Yeah, I'd love to have a reason to go balls deep into a Corn Demon army. My
already
one
done.
buddy's
I'm waiting to
yeah,
play it.
my one buddy's doing a list that's 60 Furies, Scarbrand.
And you
With
laughed
a,
at me when I said Furies.
I didn't laugh at you. I understood it correctly. The only reason I laughed at you is because I just straight up feel sorry for someone who has to deal with that model. But in my defense, I wasn't thinking about the new Warcry sculpt. And a lot of people have using the Raptor X as Furies too. You just like angle them up or whatever. So
Yeah.
and it's a nice kit. But
Yeah, the new
so
ones
he's
are
been
very
doing.
nice. The old ones, yeah, are horrible.
That's what I was thinking of when you were talking
Oh,
about tracking down Furies. I totally gapped on the Warcry kit. But he's doing that. Scarbrand, a Loki, and I think he has like 6 squads of 20 bloodletters or something.
mm,
And he's been winning with it. He says it just comes fast and hits you and crushes you. I mean,
that's the thing, especially with bloodletter bombs. Like they're still viable. You strike them in, Banner of Blood, 3d6 charges, re-rollable. Like you're gonna tag everything you want to touch for the most part, especially if you're running 20-man, 30-man blobs. Like you're gonna wrap stuff and still keep coherency and just destroy. Like it's only 1 damage each, but still -3. And if I remember correctly, on sixes, extra damage. Oh yeah, like corn is
yeah,
doable as long as you can figure a way to do it right. I mean,
yeah,
like we have an episode that we did that's hopefully coming out in the near
mm,
future where we actually did a nice corn breakdown. We're going to give our full thoughts on it. So hopefully next week that will be coming out.
yeah.
But for yourself, Brian, what do you think as far as if that rumor is true that we lose the 5-up, feel no pain? Or I can't say we because you don't play Death Guard anymore. But where you've
Sold it
played them
one
for, yeah,
deep.
but where you actually played them, do you think it's going to make that much of a difference?
To me, I feel like a -1 to wound is a little worse than a feel no pain. Like, yeah, the feel no pain slow down the game, like Kier was saying, but the -1 to wound is going to make it hard to hit. Like, it's
Mm,
going to be hard to deal that damage. Everything's like, even if they were shooting at you overkill, they're not wounding you on a 2 anymore. It's going to be a 3, so that already takes out a chunk of that damage.
mm.
And on a horde of poxwalkers, that would be scary.
Because you're going to be basically wounding on normal threes, but now fours. And that's not to say if there's going to be any stratagems or anything. And my thought process on it was a basic unit of just basic plague marines, T5. Most basic stuff coming into them is going to be strength 4. Like I'm talking like not many people are going to take last cannon shots and melt the shots just to take out basic marines, but you're going to see a lot of like higher like bolter shots. So even already there, you're thinking about you're already only wounding on 5s unless you're buffed, but now that's moving to 6s.
Yeah.
So this is almost going to be forcing people's hands to be like, oh crap, I got a couple of meltas and last cannons. Do I shoot that to clear them off an actual objective?
Yeah, I mean, there's math here to all the situations where one's better than the other. At the end of the day, it's just a rumor, and it's a pretty significant change.
Where in their War of the Spider book or whatever, they had increases to their feel no pains.
Yeah, I think I got to the point.
Them really taking away that 5-up.
Yeah, Plague Marines could do it, if I'm not mistaken. They could reroll 1s and 2s and get it on 4s, one squad, I think.
Yeah, there was a stratagem. It was a combo. Yeah, you had to use 2 stratagems to actually use it. But again, like you were saying here, it's just like it's to speed up the game because you roll to hit, you roll to wound, you roll to save, you roll again to save. But here it's just like roll to hit, roll to wound. All right. And then you roll the save. That is it. 3 rolls, not 4 or 5, with all these re-rolls.
Well, not to mention feel no pain rolls can quickly add up. You know, if you're a 1 wound model taking shots from, if you're a 1 wound model in a squad and you suffer 7 wounds to 3 damage weapons, you roll all 7, pull out the 5s and 6s, roll them again, pull out the 5s and 6s. You know what I mean? Like it does become sort of, and they've talked about venturing into esports and making the game faster and these sorts of things. So I'm reluctant to say that they want to ditch the mechanic because I play Emperor's Children. I play a lot of Slaanesh. Delightful Agonies is definitely a heck of a spell. So, who knows? Again, it's just a rumor.
Exactly. Until the actual Codex comes out and we see it in proof. And you know what? Maybe that's why with all the previews that they're doing with Death Guard, they're not showing anything because they just don't want people to talk about it. They're like, okay, here's your Codex. There, have fun.
Yeah, maybe. I will say it would be a shame to see the Terminators go to 3 wounds and lose their feel no pain.
Yeah.
Same with Plague Marines at 2 wounds. But
yeah, like Blight Lord Terminators right now might be the hardest thing to kill in the game. And at 3 wounds, you just deep strike them in the middle of the board and say, okay,
come at me.
Here I am. Yeah.
No, it's true. 10-man squad up to 3 wounds. You're looking at 30 wounds, 2 up armor. And if I think there was a way to give them a 5-up invuln and then -1s to hit. Oh yeah, like they are terrifying. So I got 10 of them sitting on my counter right now, waiting to be done. But I'm just waiting to weapon option them because I ain't got no time for magnets, and I want to make sure when the book comes out, I just make them accordingly. I'm guessing Combi Bolter is probably still going to be the way to go. Maybe throw in a Plague Launcher or something. But again,
flails. Just put flails on them, as many as you legally can. I don't think
actually, I think a 10-man unit. I think it's only 2. 2 max. Yeah.
1 per 5. So.
Yeah. But that would be a bummer. And I mean, it's not like Death Guard are good. Death Guard are real. They were very strong, right? Sort of at the edition switch over, and now it's sort of transitioned into this Death Guard plus Nurgle demons. Plague Bearers are back. Plague Bearers are back. Yeah, there's been a few lists that have been very successful with like 1 Bloodletter Bomb and 60 Plague Bearers, and then like some Death Guard soup.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems like a massive change. To me, it's almost like instead of letting White Scars advance in charge, let's just give them +1 to advance rolls or something like that. Like that to me is how big a change this feels like. So it's a little hard to. I don't know. It's a rumor.
Yeah. All right, well, that's pretty much nearing the end of the episode. So I just want to say thank you guys for joining me on this episode. It's been a while that we've been out, and hopefully this will be the start of another regular basis. I know pretty much nearing the beginning of December. Come Christmas time, things are going to be coming out. One thing I would like to say, and not to jinx it, but Brian's been doing a little bit of work, and we are trying to get more special guests on the show, this and that. We're not going to say no names, just in case things fall through, but he's been doing his work, and we're hoping to have at least one, and I have contact with another one, and hopefully for two special guests coming towards Christmas. Hopefully be a nice little Christmas special, give you guys a little bit of extra entertainment. But until that comes, like I said, we'll keep you guys all updated. Hopefully, as GW starts showing more stuff as far as codexes go, hopefully, like once codexes drop out, there's enough people around the area that we can hopefully bring them on, give their thoughts on new codex compared to the old codex, and just try to give you guys as much information as we can as it comes out to us. So again, thank you, Brian and Kier, for joining me on the episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah.
And everybody, have a good night.